All right, you guys. So I'm gonna start recording it from here as well, just in case something comes up. We'll be able to have it on recording. All right, guys, here's what I'm gonna do is I am going to invite everyone into our Zoom. Okay?
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna do just as the, give me 1 second. So you guys know that link that I shared you guys? That is where I'm going to start inviting people to come in on. So just give me a minute here. And then if I can eventually get it to the Facebook page, I'm going to see what's going on. I don't know what's going on with that. If that's, I don't think it's something on my end because it just says preparing. I'm going to eventually still try to put it to the live stream, but I'm recording it so it can go there. All right, 1 second. I'm going to invite people to come on in. All right. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm posting it in one more place, and then we're going to go ahead and get discussing. I'm going to do my best to kind of mute if people have, if people are joining and they have stuff loud in the background. All right, you guys. Hey guys, if you're a participant, do you mind? We're going to go ahead and mute you. If you are a participant, not a speaker, but a participant, can you please mute? Yeah, can you guys please mute yourselves if you are just a participant? For some reason, Facebook has given us, we're struggling to get things over to Facebook. Hey, there we go.
Oh, it's not that bad.
I know. I know I need to get my, I know I need to get my eyebrows waxed. No, I'm just kidding. All All right, you guys. Look, we're rolling with the punches here. Good morning, everyone. If you are a participant, I'm gonna say this a few times throughout. If you are a participant and not a speaker, do you mind go ahead and please mute yourself? All right, you guys, we're gonna get started. I'm gonna do my best to moderate this as best as possible. We were trying to go live on Facebook, but it was just giving us issues to do that. But look, hey y'all, my name is Courtney Fricke. I run the REIA here and at Northshore REIA. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna get this started. Look, this is our first time really doing a webinar like this. Just forgive us technologically wise. I did a test run yesterday and that went well, but live in the moment has been fun. But this is recorded, so I'm gonna go in. I still want to share it to the Facebook page. So, look, guys, let's go ahead. I want to share you about a few of the people on the panel. So, we've got myself. My name's Courtney Fricke. I own and I run Northshore REIA. We do 2 to 3 meetups a month. So this is actually because everything going on with COVID-19, we're now transitioning to virtual meetings, right? So everyone's getting pushed to that virtual age. So with that being said, this is new for us. We're used to meeting in person. We're used to meeting inside rooms of restaurants and in conference rooms of hotels. But these are free meetups that we put on the North Shore. And the goal is, guys, is we're actually I want to continue. I want to get better at these webinars because even after we go back to the physical meetings, I want to continue on with this. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to introduce to you who we have. I not only own and run Northshore REIA, but I'm an active flipper, landlord. I do wholesale deals and we do some development stuff. And I do a lot of creative deals. And so that's with one of my companies, Deep Roots Property Solutions. And so that's a little bit about who I am. I'm going to go ahead and introduce who the panel is. Again, if you guys are just a participant and not one of the speakers, I want you to go ahead and mute yourself. And actually, if you can turn the video off, that might be good too. That might help us with the broadband or whatever. I don't even want to say terms because you know I'm even right with them. We laugh all the time, but even though I might be a millennial, I'm not technically the technologically advanced millennial. So look, first of all, we've got Mr. Wayne Sanji with Wayne Sanji and Associates. Butch, he right there in the blue. He's a property manager, an associate broker, or I don't know if you've fully taken over the brokerage yet.
I'm an associate broker right now.
Okay, and his father, Mr. Wayne Sanji, Sr., they've been in business for a long time, property management on the South Shore and on the North Shore. We've got Ryan with Total Construction Renovation. There you go. Ryan's a contractor, a flipper. Tons of experience, especially in fire damage and mold remediation. Wasn't it
I've done fire and water. I've done reconstruction.
Hey guys, if you're a participant, make sure you I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna mute some people. All right, go ahead. Share that again.
So I do have some experience in fire, water, new construction, renovations, a little bit of everything.
So, and then we've got Mia Rogers. She is not only an investor, but she is a realtor who's licensed in Louisiana and in Mississippi. Mia, you're with Engel and Volkers, right?
For Louisiana, yes, and in Mississippi, I'm with Ford Realty.
That's right. And then we've got Christina Ruska. She's with Loan Depot. She's a lender, and she's married to a flipper. So she's involved in the investing world as well. And then we've got, we've got Justin Harris. He's a land wholesaler. And then he's with Parish Land Investments. He does things in the area, but also virtually. We've got Jared Miguez with Forderly Title. They're a regional title company. that he's based out of the Covington office, but he does closings all over. And let's see, we've got Bob Norton. Bob Norton, he is a CPA, but he's real estate specific. He's also a real estate broker, but also an investor, which is not common. Let's see, we've got Haley with Quest. There we go. We have with Quest IRA, Quest Trust. I have to not say Quest IRA. And with Quest Trust Company, they're a self-directed IRA company. They're a retirement account company. And so let's see. Anyone else that I missed? I think I got everyone.
I think you got everybody.
I think I got everybody. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead. So that's kind of a little bit who we have on here. I've asked these guys to jump on because, as you can tell, we've got contractors, we've got flippers, we've got landlords, we've got realtors, we've got CPA, title company, a pretty good round view. We've got lenders, we've got people seeing retirement accounts, and I want to kind of get an idea what we're facing right now is so unprecedented that no one really knows what to expect. No one really knows how to prepare, really understanding what's going to happen, what is really happening. We're all just kind of rolling with it. And so one of the best ways is staying informed, right? And so I'm going to ask these guys on the panel 2 questions, and we're going to kind of spitball it like a roundtable discussion. I pay a lot of money to be in high-level masterminds because I want to put myself around other people, and I want to learn from other people in the industry. And one of my favorite ways to do that is one of my favorite parts about the masterminds is not just when the speakers speak and stuff like that, but it is sitting around those tables and saying, hey, what are you seeing happen in your neck of the woods? Or what are you doing to overcome this hurdle and things along those lines? That is one of my favorite things about being in some of the, in some of the masterminds I'm in. For example, I was in one in January. I went and attended one, and I swear that the 15, 20-minute conversation I had in the hallway paid for the 6-digit, 5 digits that I paid to be in that room. It was a pretty high amount because of the people I was around, because I got to learn from how they are rolling with the punches, because that's really the big thing, guys. If you're getting affected in any way, the best thing is to learn how to roll with it, right? And how to shift and pivot. So let's find out what is going on, okay? So you guys who are on the panel, here's the 2 questions. What are you seeing in your neck of the woods? How is COVID-19 affecting your part of the real estate industry? And then, and the second question we're gonna hit on in a little bit is, or you might incorporate it in, is what are you doing right now? Are you adjusting? Is business staying as normal? Are things changing, ramping up, slowing down? What are you doing strategically in your business as a response to what you're seeing? And so let's go ahead, Jared. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with you with the title company. Jared, tell me, what are you seeing right now in your business?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is, we were lucky enough, and Christina can probably relate to this, that before everything shut down, the interest rates dropped just so low that we had a huge pipeline of refinances that we were working. So business has been busier than ever for us, and we've had 9 closings a day some days. It's been really good. What we've had to do, so that's what we've been seeing. I mean, business really hasn't slowed down a ton from a refinance standpoint, so we've been doing closings. Purchase business has slowed down a little bit, but the people that are actually out there using social media to their advantage and being proactive about keeping in front of their people are doing business. And I mean, I get a couple of purchase contracts a day from people that are still being active. So I'll say that I think there is still business to be had and to be made, both in the refinance world and in the purchase world. And then, and I get, we work with a lot of investors over the last year, and we're still doing a lot of wholesale deals, and those are I think going to be even more prevalent in the next couple of months and maybe next year. And what are we doing personally? It's been an adjustment because we're trying to have the least amount of contact as we can, just because of the fact we're trying to keep people safe. And the people on the panel got to see John, my partner, a second ago. He wears a mask for all of his closings. We try to wipe down tables and sit across from people instead of sitting next to them at closings, and having agents not come unless they're absolutely needed. So a few changes on that end. So it's a little bit awkward whenever we got to figure out how to get commission checks to agents and deposits from people. But I think all in all, from our standpoint, everything's getting a lot more efficient. Commission checks are starting to be wired to people, and people are taking digital copies of documents, which cuts down on the amount of paper, which I've always thought was unnecessary. So that's been beneficial. Deposit checks are being held by us as a title company, which is easier on our agents, so they don't have to come bring a deposit check to closing. And our team, while we've grown a lot over the last 3 years, we have probably 25 processors that work for us now, and I would 70% of them work from their house. So it's been nice because people are actually working more than they were, and it's on our team, and it's less stressful for them because they don't have to worry about leaving the house, pick up a kid from work. It's working out better because we're able to get more stuff done, and we're doubling down on our strengths by get title work out quickly and being available at all of our offices. So if our offices in New Orleans, we're still closing down there and being available to our clients. So our business hasn't changed, but then in a way it has. We've become more efficient, and our people work from home, working more, but are happy to do it because they're going to do it from their house. And it's been a growing, but in a good way, last couple of weeks. Turn on your volume there.
Hey, so tell me this, are you having any issues in any of the parishes that you service in our Southeast Louisiana region? Are you having any issues with doing recordings or anything like that?
Yeah, people first, right whenever the world was shutting down, a lot of the clerks were panicking a little bit, not wanting any walk through traffic. So they were trying to work through how they were going to do the recordings. Some parishes would only allow you to drive up to the building. They had an employee outside where you can hand deliver documents to them to go record it. But again, everything going on now has kind of pushed the efficiencies through the system that were kind of being slowed down because people were just so used to the way they were running things in the past. So similar to the deposit checks and the commission checks, the e-recording has been our number one improvement over the last couple of weeks. We can actually record from our office, scan things into the system, and get a recording number on things immediately. So we've been doing that, and most parishes do that now. And then the parishes that don't, we can always FedEx the documents to the clerk. They're still working. They're just not letting people walk in. So we're able to ship things to them. They'll take them, and it's business as usual. And that's on that front. The only parishes that we were really dropping things off were Tangipahoa and St. Tammany. That's where we have offices that have staff that can do that. So now we're just having to mail everything. So it's really not much has changed on that front.
Okay. Because I think a lot of people are afraid, like,
yeah,
closings are going to, because ultimately it doesn't matter if a realtor can, sell someone a house or help someone buy a house. If you can't close it, the transaction can't happen.
Yeah.
The buck kind of starts, you're one of the ways that the buck kind of stops the whole train, right?
Well, and Jeff Leshershire, the owner of Fleur-Lee, did a really good job of we have an in-house abstractor and a in-house abstracting attorney, and they review all of our stuff in-house. So we're able to pull up all the clerk's records that we do business in online and review from our office. And so some people who relied on abstractors to go into the courthouse to actually pull documents into them are not able, or I don't know what I guess they're having to order all their abstracts out at this point, which is a little bit of a shift in their business model. But for us, the way we were set up, it really hasn't slowed us down. It actually benefited us because we can get title work out within 48 hours. If somebody specifically says, I need us to close immediately, we can do that. When other people might not be able to offer that service.
So, okay, because I think that's what a lot of people are like saying, because in some other states, if they don't have that e-recording, they're struggling. And so, but that's something that's really great. I've closed with you guys. I'm anticipating closing one in the beginning of next week with you guys. I've brought in new contracts, so I know you guys are y'all doing it safely, and you guys are doing it efficiently. So business is not stopping when it comes to you guys. If anything, you guys are slammed right now because of all the refinances and all of things like just normal closing in general. So, okay. Anything else you want to add real quick? We're going to probably come back around to you as well, but anything else?
We'll come back. I'll add if I have any. I was hoping I could be like at least second so I could maybe piggyback on somebody else, but I just teed somebody else up. So
hey, everyone else can join in as well because there's going to be some topics brought up. But let's go ahead and jump to let's go to Justin Harris. He's a land wholesaler. Justin, what are you seeing as far as wholesaling land, and as far as how is that? Tell me how that's going for you, because you do it virtually, but also in this market as well.
I think it's too early to say, and I think you said this. I think last time we spoke, we kind of just have to wait for the dust to settle to kind of see how things are going to play out. But so far, the feedback we've been getting is pretty positive. We've probably contracted quite a few properties over the last 6 weeks, and things have been going well. We've been doing a lot of marketing. So I think that that's important right now, at least as a wholesaler. And I think a lot of industries, I think that you should probably expand your marketing at this point. At least that's what we're doing. And we've probably gotten about 8 or 10 contracts over the last 10 weeks. We have one buyer we lost one buyer for a deal that we had. And we got about eight or 10 more potentially. So things are going pretty well, but I think it's still too early to say how this is all gonna play out.
So right now, you're not really feeling too much effects as far as what it goes with land. Now you're getting it at a deep discount, and a lot of times your primary buyers are neighbors, right? They're a large percentage of your buyers, right?
About 20%.
Hey, Justin, did you get muted? Go. Hey,
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. No, about 20% of the time our buyers are neighbors, but the rest of the time it's just, different kinds of buyers. You have builders, you have recreational buyers and things like that. But I think that, I think we'll see over the next weeks and months how things play out. But so far our business has increased, but I'm not sure that could be a lot to do with our marketing, because we've increased our marketing over the last few weeks. Because the way I see it, if everything starts going down, like as far as the economy and everything like that, we should probably expand and increase our marketing to kind of level things off, at least level things off and see. But we'll see how things happen. But so far, that it's been pretty positive, I think.
Okay. So right now, are you doing anything to adjust? Are you putting your foot to the gas pedal, or?
Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're going back. We're reaching out to everybody we've been in contact with over the last year, basically, and we're sending out a lot of new offers. We're offering a little bit more to help people out than what we were. And the way we're looking at things are, nobody really knows what's going to happen with the economy, but if the economy does go down further, I think there's still a window of time for us to get in there and buy some properties, resell some properties, wholesale some properties before that happens. So nobody knows if that's what's exactly going to happen, but I think there's still a window of time for us to actually get in and help people and make a profit at the same time.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mia, I want to talk with you. Being a realtor, I want to hear what are you seeing that as far as the just in general with the market? I know you sent something on to me with the issues that we're having. I'm worried about doing the screen share, but what I may do is I may go ahead and post it or something like that so that people can see what you sent. But Mia, let's go ahead and unmute you. Mia, tell me what you're seeing. Are you seeing that are buyers still buying, or are sellers still selling? Like what's going on with that?
Sorry, I was still muted. Actually, we haven't seen a whole lot of change just yet. But kind of like Justin said, some of the stuff that's there is the stuff that was in the pipeline before this really started. So I don't think we're at the point to where we can see the effects of what this is going to do. I think given another month, because most of our closings are held, between 4 to 6 weeks out. So I think we're just now starting to get to the point to where we'll notice if there's any effect in there. We have noticed an increase in people that are looking online.
Okay.
So there are people shopping, whether they're serious about it or whether they're tire kickers, it's yet to be determined on some of them. We've kind of slowed down a little bit on, trying to pitch the sale kind of thing, and more just kind of be there to answer people's questions, and that kind of stuff. It's interesting kind of the way Louisiana is handling things versus Mississippi. Mississippi came out with over a week ago forms specifically addressing the virus and people entering their homes and that kind of stuff. Louisiana's just kind of starting to get in there, but they're addressing the situation too.
You're talking the real estate commission, because I've seen Mississippi, I believe it was Mississippi that had a COVID addendum.
There's actually 6 different COVID addendums for Mississippi now.
Okay, and so those are things that are addressing, so the Mississippi addendums, what are they addressing?
Well, they're addressing, like I said, for showings, that they're telling, we're advising our clients to, sanitize their home prior to any showings, and then sanitize the home after the showings as well. Then, we're also telling them, look, we don't have any knowledge of anybody having any symptoms or testing positive for the disease in there. But what if it's someone who's asymptomatic? So we can't guarantee that something in there is not going to end up giving you the virus.
Exactly.
So we're kind of having to work on that. It's been really strange. Never really had problems meeting people before, but now I'm feeling uncomfortable with it because you can't touch and you have to maintain that 6 feet distance,
Well, we're all the Southern hospitality. What is your first thing that you want to do? You want to go ahead and shake someone's hand, or you hug them if you're a hugger, whatever that looks like, right? Whenever you see people, I can't tell you how many times I've done that weird little dance where we go in, we both lean in, and then all of a sudden it's we realize, oh wait, right?
Exactly. And that's kind of what I've experienced personally, like I said, it's different. It's uncomfortable because it's not our nature. We're touchy people. So, we're having to adjust with that as well as what everybody else is. We're asking clients to, leave closet doors open, leave cabinets open, so people don't have to touch as much.
Sure.
We're asking them to leave hand sanitizer, on a little table by the door so people can feel more comfortable, because we still do have people who are calling us and asking to see houses.
Sure. So I right now, and I'll share this in a little bit more in a little bit, but last week I had a flip sale. And so that was, my flips are vacant, right? So vacant houses are easier than if someone was living in them. And so that's one of those things is people are scared because they're like, I live in my house and I'm welcoming this into, I don't know what they're bringing in here, right? Exactly. And so that's something, the difference between a vacant house and an occupied house, or even a tenant occupied, not even just owner, but tenant occupied house. That there's a different mindset there as far as with sellers and buyers. But look, I had a flip last week sold, and I had a flip that's been on the market less than 10 days. And we had 3 offers yesterday, and I accepted one last night. And so there's still buyers. At least what I'm seeing is there's less tire kickers, because why put yourself at risk if you're just tire kicking, right? And not only are you having to deal with the buyers or the sellers, you're having to deal with the agents representing them. So you have 2 barriers of people who have to decide they want to show a house or whatever, right?
Yes. Yeah. But I haven't noticed many of the people that we have that were looking prior to this, they're still interested in seeing properties,
Sure.
I know with the document that I had sent you, there's a thing where our MLS, we schedule a lot of our appointments through showing time. And on that showing time, they're saying, comparing this time frame to last year's time frame, we're down about 50% on showings. Now, I think I don't think maybe it's that much that we're down. We're definitely down a little bit, but not, and I think, like you said, it might be coming from tire kickers. And Wayne can maybe elaborate on this a little bit more, but I'm noticing more agents, instead of them trying to schedule it through showing time, they're actually calling me. And maybe it's because of, with the virus, they're asking, are the people still willing to have their home shown and those kind of things. So maybe not all of our appointments like they were before are going through the showing time.
I actually can probably agree with that, because like I said, the flip that I have that had the 3 offers yesterday, all of a sudden these 2 other offers came out of nowhere. And I'm like, we only had 3 people go walk this house. How do we have, and I know 2 walked away. How do we have 3 offers? Like, where those other 2 people see the property,
Right.
So honestly, look, guys, I think I only have 3 to 4 showings that happened on that flip. And then we got 3 offers. And I know for a fact 2 of those showings walked away. One of them is because I knew the realtor. The other one was they specifically asked for owner financing and we said no and they walked. And so it was so I remember what realtors were who showed those properties, and then they're not the ones presenting these offers. So it was really interesting for me. So I think it might be true that not everyone's going through that, maybe potentially, who knows?
Right.
And anything else?
It's still a seller's market out there right now. I pulled the numbers for, let me see where I put them.
Look, guys, if you have questions, real quick, while you're pulling that up, if you've got questions, guys, in the chat part, you can type in your questions. We're going to keep all the participants muted. But if you have a question, add them into that group chat. And I have that up. I'm going to do my best to address that. Go ahead, Mia.
Okay, so I pulled some numbers to see, because a lot of people, their main question is, is it buyer's market? Is it seller's market? Are we kind of neutral right now? And actually, it's still a seller's market. It'll be interesting to see what this looks like in 2 months. But I actually pulled the numbers for Slidell, Covington, and New Orleans separately. And in Slidell, we have just a little over 2 months of inventory. So it's still seller's market there.
What is it? What do you mean by seller's market?
It benefits the seller. There's more buyers out there, and so there's not enough inventory.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is that there's only 2 months of inventory. They kind of use 6 as the neutral flipping point to where it goes towards the buyer's market. 6 is kind of neutral in that. And like I said, Slidell has just over 2 months of inventory. Covington has 3.5, as well as New Orleans. They're also 3.5. So I'm going to try my best to kind of keep running the numbers and kind of the spreadsheet that I sent you, which you can share with everyone later. I kind of move more towards a weekly instead of monthly like we did before with numbers, because right now I think we're just changing so quickly. I think we will be down a little bit in another month, but how long is that going to last? Who knows? And Christina can elaborate. Some of that will depend on financing, because they've changed some of the rules on that.
We're going to go ahead and Mia, I'm going to work with you on producing those numbers and those statistics, and we can see about presenting that, like you were saying, weekly rather than monthly, because one of the biggest things, guys, is that the things are changing. My business partner, Paul, something came up and he couldn't be here today with us. But one of the things is when things started changing, I don't have my notes for me, but when it happened, actually I do. Something happened for us. Let me pull the date. The day that we, on March 12th. On March 12th, Paul, Charlene, and I, we sat down and we said, something is changing and shifting here. And literally my 2 business partners and I, we sat down and we went over, I think we had a 3-hour meeting, and we went over a State of the Union for our company and discussed everything from personal to business to everything, because that was kind of when the shift really, we took this really seriously, noticing that something was going on. And one of the things that Paul said during that time, he said, Courtney, this is like Katrina, where you have to adjust every few days. you have to come back and huddle every few days and say, what's going on? Because things are changing so frequently, right? And it honestly may be a more like every other day, you need to look at how things are going and make some adjustments. So Mia, as far as, is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think that pretty much covers it. You know, we're still, like I said, we're still available. Although we're working from home, we're doing more of, you know, these type of meetings with clients instead of meeting them in person now.
Sure.
You know, but so far it seems to be working well, other than us just kind of learning the different platforms.
Sure, right.
That's been one of the most challenging things, at least for me.
Yeah, hey, me as well, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Look, let's go ahead and adjust to Christina. I want to ask Christina about the lending side of things. Christina with Loan Depot. Christina, what are you seeing right now? Talk to me. I know the lending world is on fire right now. I know in the sense of on a few different ways, right? Tell me.
Yeah, it's kind of like you talked about, constant pivoting and adjusting and kind of getting together, figuring stuff out. The housing industry, I just want to say that I've seen a lot of comparisons to the housing market crash, and this is not that. So I just want to put that out there. This is,
you mean 2008?
Yes.
Honestly,
this is not the same, and
nothing
people are sounding all these alarms. I'm not saying everything is sunshine and roses for sure. Like Jared mentioned, the rates had dipped really low when this virus was still just in China. And so we did take in a lot of refinance volume. What happened there is that created a huge capacity issue because we got so much refinance business in the pipeline. And then all of this stuff happened when the virus moved over here, which created some cash flow and liquidity issues. So that was kind of the perfect storm. We are still working through the pipeline to get those refinances closed, because in a lot of cases, that's what's going to help the average American homeowner, restructuring some of that debt. If you can, take some cash out to help get you through some tough times, or if you can restructure your debt, use your equity to pay off, car loans and credit card bills and things like that. That's what's really going to help us. But I do want to say that, like I said, we're going to go through some short-term pain before we get to long-term gain, because like seeing opportunity in chaos is what builds wealth, right? And so that's what all of us are kind of doing right now, is seeing where we can really dig in and help customers, help each other, utilize technology. The silver lining in all of this, and Jared and I actually talked about this last week, is that this technology that we're using is staying here. So this is going to make all of us so much more efficient going forward, because we had some of this anyway. Like my company's been doing a lot of technologically advanced stuff since like 2018, because they didn't think a pandemic was coming, but they definitely saw that technology is necessary with what we do. So we have been utilizing this, but now it's like, instead of it being like an either or situation where a customer can say, yes, I want to go the technology route, or no, I'd rather come and sit down in your office, there's no choice. So that part I feel like is a good thing. As far as the housing industry itself, honestly, as scary as this sounds, we can either crash the housing industry or we can save it. Like that's where we are right now, because I know that y'all have probably all heard about the tightening of guidelines on jumbo products and government products, and non-QM has completely gone away. So
real quick, I know there's some those big words right there. Do you mind explaining just generically how mortgages work, especially the whole first and secondary market part?
Yes.
Because I know there's some big words, but try to give people understanding. There is so much that goes on in the real estate industry, and there's so many issues that we're tackling in different aspects. So one of them is the secondary mortgage market.
Right. So the secondary mortgage market it's mortgage-backed securities, right? Like they're bought and sold. they're
Like there's people who they'll go to Chase, they get a loan, and then all of a sudden, before they even get to the closing table, or even 3 months, 6 months down the road, all of a sudden they get a note from Wells Fargo or whatever that they now own their mortgage.
right.
Or
So they
even go with
transfer.
you guys and it gets bought by some person they don't even know the name of, right?
Right. So it's transferred. The servicing rights are transferred, in other words. So those
Right.
mortgage, if you've ever watched The Big Short, that's a hilarious movie, but it's actually really true. So like the mortgage securities are packaged and they're sold in bulk. You know, they're traded basically, bought and sold. So your servicing rights are held by somebody who, that your loan is government backed typically, or backed by a government sponsored enterprise. So the servicer is actually making those payments like on your behalf. They're collecting the money from you and then they're paying that mortgage payment. They're kind of like the middlemen. So that's what's going on right now with all of this, is that people, I just want to make it very clear that just because this bill passed and the government is saying, oh, you know, we're going to let you file for forbearance, you know, they're trying to get help out to people. And I get it. And if you work in the restaurant industry or something and you literally have no income, you are collecting $247 a week now in unemployment benefits, and you are struggling, that's the customer, that's the borrower that a forbearance is there for. It is not for, oh, this is cool, let me take advantage of this. This is not a take advantage of situation. The more people who stop making mortgage payments, the worse it's going to hit the housing industry. So if there's any way that you can pay, you should pay. Bank of America ran this commercial recently where they said, oh, we're going to tack all of your missed payments if you file for forbearance onto the back of your loan. That's great. Not every servicer is doing that. Most servicers are not. They're saying, yes, you can have a 3-month forbearance or a 6-month forbearance, and then you have to pay all of that money at the end of that 3 months or 6
So
months.
let's say your PITI is 1,000. If you put it off for 3 months, because right now there's no way you can pay $1,000. We don't know if in 3 months you can pay $3,000. Actually, it'll be $4,000 because the 4th month will be due as well.
Exactly.
And so understand, look, if you are right now in a place where you do not have a secure income coming in, this is the time to tap into your emergency funds.
Yes.
This is the time to say, what can I sell? You know, like, can I sell that Yeti I don't need? Can I sell the, you know, whatever, right? Because this is the time that you need to be doing your best to pay, unless your servicer says, hey, we'll tack it on to the back end. Because most people, if you do that 3-month forbearance and then all of a sudden you've got that big chunk due, you can't read the crystal ball and say, I know I'm going to have a job then, right? We don't know. What that is going to then lead to a lot of people defaulting on their mortgage, and that right there, a whole lot of foreclosures in a short amount of time hurt the housing market.
Yes. Right. So that's the thing that we need to be aware of, is this is not, I mean, not to be, you know, ridiculous about this, but this is not a food stamps after Katrina situation. This is, you are putting in jeopardy and putting on the line all of the equity that you've built up in your home or your investments, whatever it is, if you don't make your mortgage payments. Yeah, if you don't make your mortgage payments. And also I want to point out too, because we talked about servicing temporarily, we're closing these loans right now, right? And typically you skip a month after you close on a mortgage, your first payment is due the month following, because you have a whole month where you're setting up your escrows. So if you're closing in April, you're skipping May's payment, your first payment's going to be due June 1st. What we're concerned about right now is if something happens in the interim and somebody says, oh, now I've lost my job and I can't make my payments, or for my first payment, if a first payment is missed, if you don't make that first payment, it's not a saleable loan. It's not eligible to go to a servicer. So that's going to really be a sticking point for a lot of mortgage lenders too. And that's why you're going to start seeing, you know, we want higher credit scores. We want more reserves, because when we qualify you with 3 months of reserves or 6 months of reserves, the point of that is that if something happens and you encounter some sort of hardship, you're still going to be able to make that mortgage payment for several months until, you know, it's situation critical. So that's why we're putting these measures in place, and they are changing every day. And we're looking at, government pricing. Everybody keeps saying the market is hot, the market is hot. I really caution everybody about the hot market comments because things are so volatile. Government interest rates are swinging wildly, and it's because the appetite for jumbo loans, the appetite for government loans, those that are seen as more risky, people don't want to buy those right now because they don't know what's going to happen in 3 months or 6 months. We're going to see a real tightening. We're closing out business that was already here right now, but we're going to see, as more people lose their jobs and stuff, our second quarter GDP in the country is going to be dismal. But the third quarter we'll start to see an upswing. Things will come back. So, we just all have to work together. And like I said, this is in our hands now. The housing market hasn't done anything wrong like the last time when they were making a bunch of junk loans. We as Americans can either choose to, say, hey, we're going to buckle down. We're going to tighten our belts. We're going to make sure our mortgage gets paid. And we're going to make sure that the housing industry comes out on the other side of this. Because look at all the people on this call that the real estate market supports. We've got to band together, and that's what I'm seeing in our local market. That's what I'm seeing right now is so much collaboration, so much support from appraisers and realtors and title companies and investors. Everybody's kind of just like, what can we do to make this work? And it's really an awesome environment to be in right now.
So 2 quick questions. I'm going to go to Haley next. But I want to ask you this. You mentioned this. Should people still look at refinancing right now?
Yes, absolutely. If you have stable income and employment, and we can verify that, or you're self-employed and you're still, money still coming in, and we can verify your employment with tax returns and stuff, absolutely get yourself into a position where you sit down and look at your debt. And I can do a total cost analysis for you and show you this. If you have, $5,000 in credit card debt at 24.99% interest, and you're paying all that money every month in those bills, you don't want to just not pay it because, that's going to negatively impact your credit. You want to sit down and say, how much equity can I pull out of my house to pay this stuff off, roll it all into a mortgage, and instead of paying $3,000 a month for my bills, I can pay, $1,600. That's huge for people. That's huge. That's what you should be looking at right now.
That State of the Union with Paul and Charlene is.
That's going to be based by vehicles.
1 second.
Well,
Drop the book. If you are just a participant,
is that what you're gonna want?
you guys are muting yours.
I don't need all bells and whistles.
Where are you at, Christina? Are you muted? Hold on, I see you.
You unmuted me. There we go.
There we go. All right. Look, and I dropped this right as it all went through. Look, this is a book called Shift by Gary Keller. The minute things happened, I started reading this book. Gary Keller is the leader and the brain behind Keller Williams. Shift. It's how top real estate agents tackle tough times. And this is a special edition, but on the inside, he has an email from 2007. One of the things, so they talk through here about, because, we talk about 2008, one of the things he talks about here is you need to, he talks about here that you need to lean out your expenses. And I'll talk a little bit in a second about how that's one of the things I'm doing is I'm leaning out my business expenses, but I'm also leaning out my personal. I'm like, to be honest, I'm questioning the $9 a month I pay for Netflix, not because I can't afford it, but because I'm trying to get as lean as possible, because what I'm trying to position myself is I want to be able to help as many people as possible in my company and not have to worry that I don't have to have a monthly, income of this amount. And I want to be able to let my home life kind of take care of itself and not be another fire I have to put out, right? So I just went through all my expenses and I just said, hey, this stuff that, because we all get into subscriptions and everything and we just kind of let them pile up. It's a really good time to look at your expenses and say, if I can refinance something, would it be worthwhile? Because either you can lower your monthly expenses so that you can then protect yourself, because incomes are not guaranteed, right? A lot, yes, like, look, I've got family members who had a very secure job and that secure job is no longer very secure, okay? Just because no one can guarantee. So lastly, talk to me this. If someone comes in and gets a rate with you, how long are you guys able to lock up that rate right now?
So right now on purchase money, we're incentivizing that. The good thing about this industry is everybody needs a house. Everybody needs a roof over their head. Everybody needs a place to stay. If you are in a position to purchase, we are incentivizing that, and we are also prioritizing purchase files so that they're moving through. We're still closing in 21 to 29 days. If you want to refinance, this is what I'm doing. I'm taking your application, I'm getting everything tucked and tied, I'm getting all your supporting documentation, et cetera, and I'm getting your application submitted to underwriting. We're doing a full underwrite, and then at the point where you're approved, that's when I'm locking your rate, because what we're seeing is these are taking so long to close. We're talking 45, 60 days. I don't want to lock your rate for 60 days because we don't know what the market's going to do because it's doing this, right? So what I want to do is get you all done, and then we can take advantage of 30-day pricing so that we can get you the lowest rate that the market offers right then. Your loan is done. We don't have to worry about trying to finagle, a closing date. We're not chasing a closing date. We just, that's the smartest way that I've seen to do it. So what I'm doing for my customers is basically lining them up on the tarmac, and we're just taking off as they get through underwriting.
So 2 questions for you in the group chat. So again, you guys, the little chat button down at the bottom, we have 2 questions for Christina. What credit score is needed for a refi? Is that something that's been adjusted? I know you can't really say this is, but is there a number you can throw toward that?
So for conventional loans, it's always been 620. And I'm sorry. Everything has changed. Everything has changed so much at this point. So for conventional, we are seeing that there's some tightening in the automated underwriting systems, right? So we run it through an automated underwriting system. So we want you to have a really good credit position going into that. So plan for, around 680 to 700. If you're doing a conventional program, like I told you before, government stuff is not, there's not a big appetite for that right now. So if you're going to try to do government refinance,
So
620 is going to,
Fannie,
620,
Freddie?
I'm sorry?
Talking like Fannie, Freddie?
FHA, VA. We're not going to go below 620 on those anymore. We were going below 620 on the government stuff. We're not going to let you go above a 50% debt to income ratio like we were before. Really pushing limits on FHA and VA where we were looking at, sometimes 50, 56, 57% for a back end debt to income ratio. That's not going to be available anymore. We want you to be a really good credit risk. So you're going to need to plan for, 660 to 680, I would say, to be safe.
That's the same,
you don't know unless you try.
What's happening, it's really going to honestly say, hey, you need a contact and talk with a lender because it is changing, kind of like that comment. It's changing every few days. The best thing is to chat with one. Another question is, Caitlin asked, is RD still available at this time or is it super backed up? I can say that the flip that I sold on Thursday was an RD loan.
No, RD is still available. The only issues that we've encountered so far with RD, because they're still running, they're still issuing commitments. They're running pretty fast. The only issues that we have is RD requires IRS transcripts, and so the lenders have had to work with RD to figure out how are we going to get around that, because that's an agency guideline. So there's not anything we can just say like, oh well, they seem legit, they seem solid. We're gonna forego the IRS transcripts. We've had to do workarounds for that, but they've been working. So we are still closing RD business. So yes, that's still available. You can just expect that every area, every lender, the lenders are going to pivot faster than the agencies are, right? So like every lender's tightened up. We have people who they won't do a refi without doing a 75 to 90 day lock. There are some lenders who said, we're not doing anything under 680 at all anymore. We're just not doing it. So it's going to depend on case by case. What I encourage people to do though is, while your credit is good, look for refinancing opportunities now. Don't wait until, oh, I missed a credit card payment, I really need to get this debt in line. Now you've dropped your score. Now you aren't maybe eligible for the things that you would have been if you had jumped on it faster.
So real quick, it's really some takeaways is, guys, you need to get your personal finances under order. Get with a lender, because if your credit is not the 660 or to 680 like you were talking about, if your credit is not there, Christina can help you with some steps, and maybe Christina and I can do a little one-on-one webinar, talk about some like credit repair situations to work towards. But for investors, what I'm hearing right now is opportunity. I'm not saying go rush to this. I'm saying rent to own stuff. If you have a property that you're like, hey, I can manage to do a rent to own, because let's say people are not in that, they can't get financing. If financing tightens up, consider what like a lease option or a bond for deed looks like. Get with Christina. She can help qualify that person and say, hey, in 2 years, this person can refinance if they do X, Y, Z, and then they can work on, then instead of getting a loan up front, which they may have trouble qualifying for, they can do a rent to own from you. You structure a lease option or a bond for deed, and that person then refinances. That may be an opportunity if the banks are tightening up on lending. All right. Yeah. And Christina can help qualify for people and say, look, this person is not getting qualified for 7 years for a loan, and I don't care what's going on in their life, they're not going to get touched in 7 years. Or they can say, hey, no, they're right on the verge. They need about a year to do this and this.
I do want to be clear too, though, when we were talking about specific credit scores, and I was like, wait, I'm trying to run through in my head all the different products and programs. We are still allowing a 620 on FHA. That's not going to be an across the board, like if you have a 620, you're golden. But we are still going down that low to a 620 with a 50% back end ratio on FHA and VA loans. So I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Christina. Haley, let's go ahead and pull you up. Haley with Quest Trust Company. These are the self-directed. I mostly, guys, honestly, other than a line of credit, I don't deal in bank products myself. I deal with private lenders, and all of my private lenders are, use their self-directed, either an IRA or 401k. And so I'm going to bring Haley up. Haley, come tell me what you guys are seeing. I know that there's a lot with that CARES Act. I know I've been seeing a lot of things. So tell me what you're seeing.
Yeah, and even just from your 2 questions, I wrote down almost an entire page of notes of things that I maybe wanted to touch on. So I'll try to keep it organized and brief. But to kind of preface that, for those of you guys who do not know who Quest is, because you know what a lender does, you know what a title company does. But Quest Trust Company, we're a self-directed IRA custodian. So basically, we manage IRA accounts, but our clients use their IRAs to invest into privately held assets, such as real estate investments, promissory notes, private lending, or apartment complexes, commercial deals. A lot of those deals raise money from other people's IRAs. So we don't hold any publicly traded assets, no stocks, bonds, or mutual funds, but we basically help teach our clients how to truly diversify their retirement portfolio and invest into privately held assets. So that's my job. That's what I do. I basically help to walk people through that whole process every day. One of the biggest changes that we're seeing right now is, of course, since we're not able to host physical events, all of our offices are now closed to the public. For those of you who don't know, Quest usually hosts and attends about 600 events a year, and that has been drastically. If you can mute yourself if you just joined in. Thanks. Gotcha. We use Zoom a lot, so I'm very familiar with people having to mute themselves. But we have moved all of our education to online. Now, even whenever we hosted our physical classes and events, we live streamed everything online anyways, but with online being the only way we're able to get our education out there right now, we have actually used this as an opportunity to upgrade a lot of our equipment. I've got a nice little ring light in front of me right now. We've got cameras and mics actually on their way being shipped to all of our IRA specialist individual houses, so we can still record all of our content. On our Facebook page, which I'll post in the chat, and our YouTube, we are hosting about 4 live classes on the Quest Trust Company Facebook page every single week, and we're posting about 3 to 4 other educational videos on YouTube as well. Actually, tomorrow at noon Central Time, we're going to have Jeff Watson on our class talking specifically about the CARES Act. So Jeff Watson is an attorney. He's actually for fun, read through the entire like 9-page legislation, or no, like 900-page legislation. But basically the CARES Act is something that is really, really a hot topic right now. To kind of summarize it, basically in this new legislation that has been passed, part of that was the CARES Act, where if you or like your spouse or any dependents have been diagnosed with coronavirus, or if you have been financially affected by losing your job, being furloughed, or having a decrease in your working hours, you are eligible to take up to $100,000 out of your IRA, and you have up to 3 years to either put it back in or pay the taxes on that over the course of 3 years. But there's no 10% penalty on this. So a lot of people have kind of just read the bullet points of this act that's been passed. And I really love the note that Christina made where, you know, just because they are releasing these items and stimulations to help people that really need these things right now, it doesn't mean that just because it's been released that you should take advantage of it, or, you know, you might not qualify for it. You know, of course, the rules and the guidelines of who qualifies for this $100,000 distribution are very, very vague. They're very, you know, kind of open-ended. So there's not a whole lot of IRS guidelines just yet on this, but it is something to consider. You know, if you have been financially affected, you do have this opportunity right now to take up to $100,000 out of your IRA and not be penalized on it, and have up to 3 years to either pay the taxes or put it back in. If you guys have more questions about that, I have been reading up a lot about it. I've also been watching a ton of webinars this week because even though we are very in-depth in the IRA space, I also want to stay up to date with everything that's going on in the real estate markets, what's going on with lenders, title companies, pretty much anyone who's being affected. And one of my big focuses right now is, you know, while we're all stuck at home, we want to make sure that we still get all the right education and really creating and focusing on our business to business relationships. Because I know it's really easy as you're all stuck at home to kind of get in a routine of maybe not being as active as you were. But for every person who is pulling back and getting scared and not making moves right now, there's going to be another person coming in and taking advantage of those opportunities. So I think out of the 4 webinars I watched this week, every single one of those made a comment about the people being scared and pulling back and the people taking advantage of these opportunities right now. Now, going along with the private money lending, which is always a topic that it's always one of our most popular topics anyways. You know, a lot of people like to use their IRAs to be passive and to be private money lenders. That is going to skyrocket, in my opinion, over the next couple of months, because as Christina mentioned, you know, a lot of the lenders out there are tightening up right now. They might, you know, they might not be loaning, you know, as like high % loan to cost. They might require, you know, higher credit scores. But a lot of these lenders out there, and Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've just heard this on another webinar, but a lot of the lenders out there that get a lot of their capital from Wall Street, a lot of that Wall Street money is tightening up right now. So I know in Texas, a lot of hard money lenders aren't even doing loans right now. So knowing where
Phoenix as well.
I'm sorry.
In big markets, the hard money lenders, which here, hard money lenders are not really as prevalent down here, maybe more so just private. But I know for a fact that a lot of people who, especially my friends in the Texas market, they're like saying, okay, which hard money lender is still lending right now?
Yeah, and I think, you know, just kind of the longer this thing goes, it's really going to test a lot of people's business plans and liquidity and things like that, because, you know, you might have enough cash reserves to get yourself through April, maybe through May, but I mean, according to what I've been seeing, coronavirus in the US is not supposed to peak until May. So we're in this for the long haul. And as a real estate investor, you know, it's not just our job to be creative and make money and take advantage of these opportunities out there, but we also, in my opinion, have a really big duty to help the people around us, whether that's purchasing properties from people that might be a little in over their heads at this time and they don't have as much income, so they can't afford that house anymore, but also as you're a real estate investor and you need money for your deals, and a lot of these lenders are tightening up, you have the opportunity to really kind of go out there and help to educate people about how you could use their IRA as private money lending for your deals. And, you know I actually talked to one client in particular that was actually, you know, it opened up his account, was about to move his money over to Quest to buy a real estate property. And then the stock market crashed and his IRA lost 32% of his value in a matter of 2 days. And so what we're seeing a lot right now is, you know, we're still so early into this. It's going to take a few more weeks to really figure out, you know, a bit more of a, you know, where this is all going. It's really hard to tell right now, but there's a lot of people just kind of waiting, just sitting. But as things kind of progress over the next few months, there's going to be a ton of opportunities out there. And you want to make sure that during this downtime, you have provided yourself with the right education, reaching out to people, making the right connections, and, you know, really just calling people and saying, how can I help you? I know that's a big thing that I'm doing right now because, you know, I don't want to call people and just be like, hey, are you ready to open up your account? They're probably not ready to yet. But if you call them and they're like, hey, how's business going for you? How can I help you? What are your plans? What are you doing with this? We really have a big opportunity to network with each other and help each other. That way, once things kind of really get rolling again, and, you know, they're probably going to be a lot different than they have been over the last couple of years. You want to make sure that you've got those right connections in place, you know, once things kind of really start moving again. So, you know, I would encourage all of you, I'll actually put my email address in the chat here, as well as our Quest Trust Company Facebook page. But we've got a ton of education, a lot of information. I'm an open book. I'm a nerd and I love IRAs and I love kind of teaching people about how this all works. So, you know, I'm really just here to be a good resource to you guys, and really help to educate about this so you can use these tools and this information about private money lending to help your business, and then, you know, just really be good resources to each other.
Absolutely. Haley, you were here in February teaching us about self-directed IRAs and how that can help with private money. Look, one of the biggest things my company is doing right now is sourcing private capital, just because we want to ramp up our buying and get ready for that. And a lot of times that is using the private money. Look, so many people ask me about private money. At the end of the day, it is knowing stuff like self-directed IRAs and 401ks, because I've been able to, so we talked about hard money lenders, right? Those are private money lenders, but they're professional and like companies. All my private lenders are personal. They're personal connections. And that is where I get all of my, the people who work with me. And a lot of people say, hey, Courtney, can you tell me who your private lenders are? I'm like, look, honestly, they're people in my sphere of influence. They're not looking to lend to someone they don't know. I've built credibility and trust with them. And so Crest is phenomenal with trainings. And so, look, I don't know if you guys can see this, but you can't see this wall. I have 5 categories that I made to-do lists of things I'm tackling during this stay in place, shelter in place. And one of those is self-development. And so it's literally a long list. Now, some of it is cleaning, and that list hasn't really been touched as much as I'd like it to be, but I mean, I've got self-development, like reading, writing, learning, personal finance, some work stuff, things like that. Guys, this is a phenomenal time to really, you know, yes, I understand binging on Netflix, but this is also a really great time. I went and pulled a specific notebook just for the webinars I've been, just like this, guys, that I've been attending. Yeah, and because I've been wanting to learn, I want to get around better people and learn, right? And so, Haley, thank you so much. I know you guys have been phenomenal helping education-wise. Go ahead.
And I do have one question on here that I just want to answer to Claire, because I can't figure out how to respond to her privately again. Now, Quest, we are all working from home. We are doing Zoom consultations, webinars. Our consultations are always free. So, you know, everyone is working from home right now, except we do have, like, I think maybe 3 or 4 key employees that are still working physically in our Houston office. So if you guys need to mail something to us, like a check or original investment documents, those can still be emailed to our corporate office in Houston. And we do have representatives there that are receiving mail every day. Other than that, the rest of us are working at home. And in Texas, we're on a stay-at-home order until April 29th. So may or may not go further than that. All I have to say is I'm really glad I stole a desk chair my last day working in the office. I literally left and I had my plant with me and I had a desk chair and I was ready to work from home for the rest of the time being. So yeah, Claire, you can still mail it to our corporate office in Houston.
So excellent. Look, ultimately, guys, good job with the chair, right? Look, you guys, as far as private money lending, what I may do is I may do a webinar on how I structure those deals, because that's a whole topic. I do everything from equity participation, where we may do, you know, something like a 70-30, 80-20 split of the profit. I do sometimes where I do like 1% of the loan amount and 1% or 2% of the purchase price. I mean, I've done a handful of different structuring. But here's the biggest thing is people are looking for credibility and that you're competent. It's hard to get someone to lend to you on your first deal. So what that may look like is partnering someone who's experienced. Say you find a deal, partner with someone who has access to the capital and share part of the profit on that, right? And build a track record in the meantime, because honestly, if I had, you know, $100,000, I wouldn't want to lend to someone on their very first deal, right? And so some of those things are huge. Look, ultimately, Quest isn't going to say, yeah, you should lend to this person or no, or this is the percentage price. They're neutral. What they're going to say is, here's the products and how you can do it, you know, how you can build your retirement account tax-free, you know, through this and this product or whatever. So this is great. Haley, thank you. I'm going to go ahead now to, real quick, I want to talk to Bob about the SBA loans. He's a CPA, and then we're going to go to Wayne and then Ryan. But Bob being a CPA, you're real estate specific. Look, I know a lot of people are asking in the questions about the SBA loans. I've been looking at it myself, my business partners, most of you guys have reached out asking me about it. Look, the SBA loan that's going out, a lot of us are small business owners. I know I own multiple companies. Is it something we should be considering? Bob, what are you seeing? What's going on in your business? And
Right now it's tax season, so I'm busy. And with the new law that came out, things have got even busier because I'm getting a lot of questions about the disaster loans. So there's basically two loans. There's one that's a disaster loan that self-employed, that any business can apply for, including self-employed people. And what that means is that you just basically apply for the loan, whether you're a business or self-employed. There's two different forms. I've got, actually, if you want to text to this, and I'm going to actually put it in the comments, I have some free information that you can text and get that from me. It'll give you two different packets. The other loan option is what's called the payroll protection program. So this is for companies that have payrolls. But that also includes
employees or like 1099. Are you talking?
That
like
includes self-employed people. So for instance, if you have if your income comes from a Schedule C and you pay self-employment taxes on that, that's part of your income, and you can get money based on that. And what it is it's your average monthly income or your monthly payroll if you're a business times 2.5. So for instance, if you make just to make the math easy, you have $12,000 a year, that's $1,000 a month, you can get a loan for $2,500. Now it turns out this isn't really it's called a loan, but as long as you spend the money on payroll before June 30th of this year, it's forgiven and it's basically tax-free money. Whereas the disaster loan is more of a situation where you have to show that you have an economic loss due to the coronavirus. And you can apply for that. They're going to issue, if you qualify, which they're basically taking your word that you qualify for the most part, and they're going to review your application. But anyway, once you apply for it, and if it looks like you're eligible, they will send you a check for $10,000 that will basically be an emergency relief grant that you don't have to pay back. If you have a loss larger than that, so you have a larger business, and say you're eligible for $50,000 of the disaster loan, they're going to then come back later and say, okay, we sent you $10,000 already, so you can borrow $40,000 more at a low interest rate, which I think is capped at 4%, and then you pay that back over 30 years. And obviously the really large businesses can go for larger numbers on that. So information that I have is on the disaster loans. So for instance, if you're a self-employed person and you made less than $48,000 last year, report it on your Schedule C, or if you have an S corporation because you've elected to be taxed as S corporation, you paid yourself less than 40,000 and you're the 48,000, you're the only employee, then you would be better off going with the economic disaster loan rather than the payroll protection program.
So there's a lot of moving parts to this.
There are.
And I know a lot of people are like, oh, let me go apply for myself. I cannot tell you how many groups I'm a part of where I see someone who's like, dang it, I messed up. I did this and I forgot to do this, or I forgot to include this part. Tell me this, I know you're doing this because I'm hiring you to do this for me. You are for a fee doing applications for people.
Right.
Right. And so if you're like, hey, this is so confusing, or hey, I have so many companies, I need help in this and this, Bob may be someone you want to look out to. One of my business partners is a CPA. She's an accountant. She just texted me another thing of a webinar because she's trying to wrap her head around it because there's so many moving parts that it's like, I don't know, what do I do about this? What do I do about this? And so honestly, you should, number one, having a real estate specific CPA has been so helpful for me because I'm not having to go into someone who does a variety of clientele. It's been really helpful for me to go to someone who can understand my creative deals, my wholesaling, all those things. And on top of that, who's an active investor himself. Like, honestly, when I show my deals to Bob, right? So it's one of those things where it may be something you want to consider if this is just going over your head, but you say, I really could benefit from this. Who should be, when it comes to these different products, who should be considering this? People who have LLCs, they're like, what do you like?
Yeah, I think, well, yes, you can, even if you're just a landlord, you have a company and you may be, if your tenants aren't paying you or you're suspecting your tenants are going to have a hard time paying you in the coming months. So far, my tenants have paid me for this month, but I don't know what's going to happen May 1st. But you will have an economic injury, in quote unquote, so you will qualify for the $10,000 emergency relief grant. You may not get more money than that. You may not need more money than that, but that's something you should definitely consider applying for. If you have a lot of employees, you may be better off with the payroll protection program, which is a different program. You have to go through a commercial bank. The banks are still trying to figure out how to process everything now, and they're waiting on the SBA for guidance. I just got a new form in today that SBA's already amended the form they sent out 2 days ago. So, but the banks should be starting to accept applications next week, and then maybe releasing some funds within 2 weeks. So it's still going to be some time for that. But anyway, you could consider that. I've sat down with several clients and we've calculated which one benefits you the most. And then that's the one that they apply for, because you can apply for one or the other. But if you're self-employed, you don't have employees, and if you're try your best to make sure that you justify as much business expenses as you possible to keep your taxable income low, you're going to be better off with the economic disaster loan for $10,000, because you may not be showing self-employment income enough for the payroll protection program.
So Bob, real quick, if you guys, if you've got questions in the group chat, go ahead and put your questions in there. I know Justin just posted one. Does the payroll protection plan cover private contractors, which I'm assuming is 1099?
Yes. So if there's two ways, you can get the payroll protection program for your contractors but the way the wording is, I was looking at this yesterday, it's like for 1099 contractors who otherwise would be considered employees. Well, the problem with me, I see, it's like, well, that looks like a big gotcha, because one of the things I look at all these laws is like, what are the gotchas that they're not telling you about that's going to come and bite us in the butt later on?
Right.
And the last thing I want to do is say, oh, I have all these independent contractors. They really should be employees, but we're all running them through as contractors. And IRS, I know, is looking at that closely. So the thing is, if they're independent contractors, they can actually apply for the $10,000 grant themselves. So they'll get more money that way than you would get with the payroll protection program. The other thing I do want to mention real quick is that there's also unemployment insurance, unemployment insurance payments or benefits that you can apply for that's under the federal program that allows self-employed people and also realtors, which are self-employed people, to actually apply for. If you go online to Louisiana Works, and I figure in Mississippi, they probably also have the same thing. There's a link that you can apply for it. And I think the weekly benefit is $600 from the federal side. The state may also kick in more if you actually do have a company that you've been running stuff through. But, and you can still apply for that and still go for the economic disaster loan too. So I would think that that was something everyone should look at.
So tell me this. I want to ask 2 questions for you, but stay on this. I'm the type of person that, like, I'll say this. What if someone feels like they are looking for a handout and all this? I have some people who are like, I've built myself, I've never had a handout for anything from the government. Should I even apply? Should I just try to grit my teeth and try to make this happen? Or, like, is this something that we're all just going to be paying towards anyway?
Well, right. It's all going to come out of future taxes. I mean, this is money the government's having to borrow all this money to help pay out, and then they're going to get it some way in the future. But as far as getting handouts, no, that's what they're wanting to get money into our hands so we can turn around and spend it on things we need to keep the economy going. Because once this crisis is over, one of the things that's happened with all my clients and a lot of business I've seen is doing exactly what we're doing with these Zoom meetings. I had 5 Zoom meetings yesterday with clients, and I'm on them every day. Haley's talking about that's how they're meeting everything. So all my especially my larger clients that have a lot of employees, they're trying to figure out how do we work from home. Well, what's going to happen is they're not going to go back to showing up in the offices as much anymore. Now they're going to figure out how to make it work remotely, and we're going to go back to where we're going to start doing a lot more things remotely. And I think as a real estate investor, one of the notes I had made from your questions earlier was that you got to figure out how to use this Zoom for yourself, and you can start talking to sellers of houses when you go. It's like you don't have to go meet them now. You can do a Zoom call, especially if they're in another state. Out of area owners and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of opportunity to get in front of people and to have more tools at your side, and everyone's going to become more comfortable using these tools and communicating this way because of this event. Right. And one other thing is, in chaos is a lot of opportunity, and right now there's lots of opportunity out there. So if you're sitting home binge watching, which Courtney mentioned, you should really be thinking about, what should I be doing now to take advantage of the opportunity to either improve myself, learn more, figure out ways, learn technology to get in front of more sellers and to find more buying opportunities.
So, Wayne, I'm going to pull you up next, but one of those things is, like, so I made these lists right here. We've got in Louisiana stay-at-home order until April 30th. I am tackling my taxes, which is what I'm going to ask you real quick about. I'm making sure, like, the stuff that I put off, guys, look, you just see my desk right now. There's stuff that I put off all the time because I'm so busy meeting with sellers, doing deals, meeting with buyers, dealing with other investors, networking. We put off stuff all the time, right? We put off, filing stuff or organizing stuff or that back house stuff. This is a fantastic time to knock out that back house stuff. Get caught up on your accounting. Get some systems into place. Everyone's been talking about the force with technology is putting some good habits in place. Get caught up on your systems. I know I'm getting caught up on a lot of things, not only just education, but because what I want is I want the office stuff to be tackled so that whenever whenever we can go back to a little bit more business as usual, as far as meeting with sellers, things like that, or just in general, I want to be able to not have to say, oh, wait, I need to go file my taxes. Oh, wait, I need to go do some accounting stuff. Like, I want during this downtime to be tackling some of that stuff. So with that being said, Bob, did they extend taxes? What does that mean? What does that look like?
So what they did is they extended the due date for taxes for this year to July 15th. So that means that if your tax returns that were due here April 15th is now actually due July 15th. And you can wait until then if you owe any taxes, you can wait until then to pay, and they won't charge penalties and interest for it being after April 15th.
Do you still need a file by April 15th and you just
No.
can wait to pay, or
It's
you
automatically extended to July 15th. Now, what we're doing with most of our clients is we're still filing extensions for everybody. It turns out that most of my small business clients still won't have me their data by July 15th, and I expect that. But I do have a lot of clients that have their information in, and we're processing that right now. If you are expecting to get a refund, you probably want to file sooner rather than later. But if you're expecting to owe, you have, 90 more days before you have to make a payment.
Okay, so guys, right now, if you have hit off doing your taxes, right now is a great time while we're stuck at home. Look, I understand it. I literally had to go pit the kids in the backyard, not my kids, other kids that I pit, my niece and nephew that I've been watching. I had to go pit them and occupy them for this, but it's like, I get it. Like, some of you guys might be homeschooling right now. Some of you guys might be just stress, things like that. But this is a good time to get strategic. Maybe you're like, hey, today, what would be one thing successful that I could do, to help put myself in a better position? So again, Bob, look, guys, if you have further questions, I know this SBA loan stuff, I know tax stuff is complex. Look, he put that number there, text disaster to 985-244-3944 for free info on the SBA disaster loans. This is definitely something, guys, I know that I'm working with, my business partners are. It's definitely something to look into. Thank you, Bob. Wayne, let's go ahead and pull you up. Wayne Sanji with Wayne Sanji and Associates. Right now, Ryan, we're going to talk with you next because that's also something kind of tied into. Mia just said, great point. I have a tenant who tested positive for COVID-19 last week. Wayne, this is a great intro into you. Everyone is worried right now about they're worried about, are my tenants going to pay right now? What do I do? I had someone text me yesterday, hey, can I evict someone right now? What is that looking like for you guys? What are y'all seeing in y'all's business? I know you're also an associate broker. What are y'all seeing right now?
Well, what we're seeing, Courtney, is, and what we did is we tried to get ahead of this thing. We knew we were going to have some tenants that were going to have either late rents or say that they are not going to be able to pay at this time. So we kind of let them know that, look, we know the government is saying that you know, your rent can be put off, but just like the homeowner, I mean, they have a mortgage they have to pay. So we're asking that all of our tenants pay what they can. And if it's half, we'll take that half that they're missing from this month and we'll break it up over the next few months. But they need to understand that they're not going to be able to just stay somewhere for free. I mean, the homeowner, the landlord has to pay his note. So they're not going to be excused from paying rent. So we're trying to work with them and let them know this is not an opportunity, like you were saying earlier, about how you really need to, trim your expenses. You need to look at, your savings. You might have to come out of your emergency savings to take care of your rent, because unfortunately, you're not going to be excused. It's not going to be, oh, well, because, this has happened, you don't have to pay for the next 2 or 3 months. So we've kind of let all of our tenants know ahead of that. Look, we understand that you might be directly hit by this. Whatever you can pay at this time, you need to pay. And we will definitely work with you in any way we can. And we're not going to be charging, obviously, any late fees, because most rents are due on the 5th, by the 5th. So we're expecting to get more calls next week, because today is only the 3rd. So we're expecting to get, more questions and everything as of Monday. But to piggyback on what Mia was saying earlier about our market, and it is definitely a seller's market. But what I'm finding is a lot of people that were considering listing and selling, because this is our hot time right now, they're holding off because of the uncertainty, and they don't want people in their homes. The virtual tours have been very helpful, but in the same token, a lot of people are just, it's uncertain right now. So buyers that I was working with, even though I've offered to do myself, I'll go to a video tour of the home if there's not one available and show it to them. They're just, holding off right now. They want to let the dust settle on this. So our market has definitely slowed down in that regard. I mean, even though we do have tools in place where people can see homes, virtually, I think a lot of people are just holding off because of the money you have to pay to obviously go to a closing. They're just trying to wait and see. That's what we're at right now. And I've got people that I had listings that were going to come on the market, and I've told them, I said, look, it is a seller's market, but you might want to just wait for right now, and let's give it a month and see. And what I've noticed, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably noticed, people in your neighborhood are doing a lot of work to their homes, sprucing up gardens and getting things ready. So I think when the dust settles, the market's going to have a really big boom of listings hitting the market. I mean, I know personally me, I've been getting things done around my house because, again, we're all quarantined. So I have my bucket list. My house looks like I'm ready to list it myself, but I'm not. But, but we are taking care of those things. And as far as on the property manager side, showing rental property, I have a couple listings right now that are vacant. And the way we're handling it right now is I go before the prospective tenant. I unlock the door, I turn the lights on, and I go sit in my car while they go walk through the house. Again, because it's vacant, we do this. And, you know, to provide as much distancing as possible. That's what the precautions we're taking in our industry. But to answer your question, as far as how we're going to handle the rents, it's going to be on a case-by-case basis and depending on what the owner wants us to do. But for the most part, we're offering them to, we're trying to work with everybody. I mean, this is something we've never seen before. You know, it's just.
So have y'all made any changes as far as working with some people? What does that look like? Does that mean, are y'all changing like first months and deposit? Like, are y'all maybe normally where you would require XYZ on people's income? Like, for example, some people like 2 to 3 times income. Say if rent's $1,000, they want $2,000 to $3,000 a month in income. Are y'all making, like, what does working with people kind of look like? And I'm not saying that it's kind of per case basis, but what does kind of some of those things look like?
Well, we really haven't changed our criteria on what we're looking for a potential tenant. I mean, we still want to put somebody in there that's going to be able to pay the rent. I mean, we're not going to lower our criteria and then have to possibly deal with a future eviction. So we haven't really changed. And luckily, we are in a position where we only have 2 vacancies right now out of all the properties we manage. And again, I'm knocking on wood because we've been blessed. Most people have contacted us and said, look, I'm going to have the rent, but the next month could be a little tough. And again, we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. It's kind of, I hate to say that it's a wait and see situation, but it really kind of is. I mean, fortunately, because a lot of people have jobs where they can work from home, like most of us are right now, it hasn't affected us financially too badly. But
it's still
again,
early on in the process, kind of. So
it is early on, and a lot of our tenants, they work in the service industry. I mean, I have one that they do events in New Orleans, weddings, parties, and stuff like that. Well, all that's been canceled. Now, I know once we get this lift order, there's going to be a boom. People are going to have all these things coming up. But
right.
As of right now, you know, some tenants, we're going to have to really do as much as we can to try to work with them. And like I said, if they could pay any, you know, half rent this month, and we'll try to break up that half they're missing over the next few months. But again, they know that they are going to be responsible for that. It's not going to be, you know.
I think it's really good to be proactive instead of reactive. Oh, let me not bring it up in case, you know, because then they may try to, you know, address the situation head on. Say, hey, reach out to your tenant. Hey, what's going on? How are things? How are you? Look, Mia just said one of her tenants got COVID. Who knows? They could be in the hospital, right? Or they could be completely fine. You don't know, right? And it's one of those things where, look, with these stimulus checks, it is imperative that these tenants and people just in general, look, the SBA loan money, the stimulus check money, whatever, that this money go toward bills, not a new MacBook or a new TV or the new iPhone or whatever. I don't know. Stuff like that.
And we've done that with our tenants. We've emailed all of them to let them know, look, when you do get that stimulus check, this is what you need to do. You need to worry about the bills you have to take care of because you don't want to be in a bad situation a month or 2 down the road. This is not just free money to go play and, you know, pump into the economy and go buy, like you said, a TV or a MacBook or something. So hopefully they heed what we're telling them.
So 2 questions for you. If someone is not paying their rent right now, what are y'all doing?
Well, again, Courtney, we don't have a system in place yet. We're not going to obviously do any kind of evictions right now. We just can't because of the situation. And all of our tenants have been paying their rents. I wish I could give you a little more info, but I honestly, next week would be a better time to talk to me when we hear more from tenants who say, look, I can't pay this month. And then we'll have plans in place, but we're still discussing what we're going to do to try to work with them and our owners.
Right. Because one of the big things right now is like, not all courts are not open. Like they're only doing emergency stuff. And so to my understanding, kind of across the board. And so, for example, you know, if you had someone not paying rent, normally you'd go file it in court. You can't go do that. You can't. So you want to be very careful eviction wise. It might be a conversation where talking with those tenants, like, you know, working with them. Hey, let's say rent's 1,000 and you can bring 500 to the table. Let's break up that 500 over, you know, the next few months, or encourage them. Hey, do you have someone who can assist you with this right now, or things along those lines, right? Just trying to find ways to get creative. Tell me the second.
I mean, you never want to evict someone. I mean, and
Right.
all of our tenants have been great people. They take care of their business, and it's just an unfortunate thing they're all going to have to deal with. So that's a last resort. And like you said, because of the court situation, it's not something we can really even count on at this point.
Vacancies in general are difficult. You have turnover. You've got turnover you got to do. You've got, and then, you know, the potential of vacancies where you just have to cover that mortgage by yourself. This also goes back to the topic Christina said, is be careful with forbearances. If you are a landlord, you want to be careful with that forbearance, because if you push it and your servicing company only says, hey, push it for 3 months, but at 3 months, all 3 are due, that's a rough patch. And so now, but if they tack it on to the end of the mortgage, hey, that's good. But you want to make sure in writing what's going on. Question, what about repairs right now? Because we're going to be bringing up Ryan next, who's a contractor. What about repairs right now? Are you guys doing repairs for your tenants? Are you just, how does that looking like? Repair requests?
We still are. I have some subs that they will still go out, but again, we're taking as many precautions as we can. I mean, I had to send a plumber out recently, and he went out there and just asked that, you know, they really sanitize the area that he's going to be working in, and he got in and got out. I mean, wore masks the whole time. So, I mean, we're doing everything that we can, but I mean, if somebody has, like I had a lady with an air conditioning issue, air conditioning wasn't working. And as you know, we've been having a hot spell lately. It's been hot. So I mean, my guy went out there and he serviced it. So, but again, all the service guys are taking every precaution they can, mask, gloves, you know, whatever they can do.
Are y'all just doing emergency repairs right now? Like kind of the frivolous stuff?
Yes, emergency repairs.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, again, the plumber went out because we had a busted pipe, and the AC guy went out. But no, but if we have somebody call and say, oh, look, I got a light that's not working. Well, I mean, you know, a light at this point, we'll get an electrician out there as long as it's not a safety hazard. But yes, only emergency stuff are we sending anyone out.
Just for everyone's safety on the front end, the back end. Excellent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Wayne. Ryan, let's go ahead. I want to talk with you, Ryan. Ryan, as a contractor and as a flipper, let me make sure that, there you go, Ryan. As a contractor and a flipper, what are some things that you're seeing? How is it for you? Is it business as usual, slow? Is it picking up?
No, we were lucky. I mean, we were looking at a good year this year. We had about a 2-month backlog. However, that was taking us kind of to the end of April. So we were really kind of completing or in the process of doing all that work right now. And even some projects that were slated to start the beginning of April, they've still called me and said they're interested in getting them done. We're trying to be wary a little bit of the interior projects that we were doing. Exterior projects, you know, we're going to have an opportunity now to maybe get some of those done. But, you know, for us, a lot of the stuff, I'm still getting calls for estimates or estimates that I had turned in prior to kind of all this going on. They want to do the projects, but some of them have reached out and saying that now they're wanting to wait till maybe June and maybe see how all this shakes out a little bit.
Are you seeing people backing out because they're unsure? What about finances?
No, nothing about finances yet. You know, the people that, a lot of the customers that we work for had the cash. Some of them are a little bit older. They've had some cash available, and they understand kind of the principles of updating your house is, you know, kind of keeping it up to standard. So that way they're all kind of on the goal of, if they do ever want to sell it or keep some equity in it, you know, I mean, they have that ability to get a top dollar if they go to sell it. So a lot of them weren't financing per se. They were all using cash on hand. So they're still wanting to go forward with them as of now. But, you know, we're kind of in a weird spot where, like I said, towards the end of April, everything that we had will be kind of winding down. And from there, we're going to have to see what happens. Like I said, you know, we still have them lined up, but they are pushing them. Nobody's canceled yet, but they're all wanting to push them back a little bit.
So tell me this, what about, I want to hear about your suppliers and your subcontractors. Are they giving you any issues? Like, is it hard to find some, is it hard to find certain like supplies that you need? Like, you know, I know Home Depot is limiting the amount of people going in. Like, how is that looking for you supplies wise? And then talk to me about your subcontractors. Are you having a hard time getting them to work?
At the moment, no. All of our suppliers have been doing pretty well. The most difficult part for me is I'm very hands-on with all of my customers. You know, as a contractor, I like technology and I enjoy learning about it, but at the same time, there's not much technology that can help us go into a customer's house until we get the robots, you know. So right now we do all of that, you know, technical work in our customers' homes. So so for me, it's been really difficult, especially because like I said, I'm very hands-on with my customers. I sit down with them, try and meet with them at least once or twice a day, even as we're running through a project with them. So I can't send them out to look, or I can't go out with them to look at products, to make selections right now. You know, I mean, doing it on the internet's a little bit different than actually being able to touch and feel stuff.
Right. To go look at the inside of a house, or go look at it, whatever. Right.
That's right. So as far as suppliers go, you know, I mean, none of my vendors, they've shut down kind of their office staff to maybe 1 or 2 people, but they're all open. So I haven't run across where we can't get supplies.
Okay.
Not having that issue yet. You know, we do use Home Depot, Lowe's, but then as well as our independent vendors, nobody right now is having any supply issues. We just have to plan a little bit better now.
A little bit of delay, any?
Contractor. I'm sorry?
Any bit of delay?
No delay. But that's where I try to stay focused, and that's where for me the technology, I guess, portion comes in, is where I try to stay about a week or 2 ahead of our projects themselves and have all the selections ready.
Right.
But that's where I was meeting, you know, that's where I would typically meet with our customers and go through that selection process 2 weeks before a project or a week before a project starts and have everything ready to go. Whereas now, that's where I'm going to find out where that's kind of creating a bottleneck in our plans, because I'm not going to be able to do that hands-on with them. So how is that going to affect our time frame? I'm not sure yet. But, you know, as far as places or projects we have going on that were vacant, a large renovation, you know, we do projects from honestly changing light bulbs and switches to people all the way to a complete home renovation. So we run the gamut of different things.
Right.
So we've got 1 or 2 full renovations right now going on with nobody in them. So that's helpful. You know, right now people home, that's creating a little bit of a challenge, because a lot of our customers will let us work in their homes while they're working or on vacation or anything. We build a great deal of trust with them. So they're now home with their kids or family. So that's, you know, it's going to be a challenge for us by the end of this month to see where we're going with this.
Do you work any with new construction stuff, like doing sub stuff for them?
No, we don't. I've been in that area before, and right now not prepared to go back. Not prepared to go back there.
No, look, you're good. So Paul LaGrange, my business partner, he has his contractor consulting company, and then he has the spray foam insulation company. That is something that I know just from talking with him that they've seen a decline and people wanting like the consultation with him, people wanting really just stuff along those lines, like the stuff that's not like necessary. He saw people that were pulling out back on stuff like that, right? Like, but they were seeing things in the spray from it, like they were seeing interesting upticks and then declines, but just kind of in just different areas. Like you were talking about people inside their house being vacant because everyone's home now. You know, now you're having to work around certain things. Anything you doing in your business right now to kind of pivot?
So what we did last year, you know, we did 2 attic office build outs for people that were, obviously they weren't preparing for this, but they were making that jump from working in an office to working at home. So we did one soundproof room for a teledoc who is does around the world, you know, telemedicine. And so now he and I keep in contact. And when we were talking the other day, he's like, wow, this is one of the, you know, kind of forethoughts that I had that really worked out well for me, because he is booming with business and now he's working from home 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, you know, kind of where we're going to take our business, obviously, is, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations until, you know, people have some of this, just kind of figure out what their IRAs are doing or what their stocks are doing or equity in their houses. It's really up and down right now. But we're also members of Age Safe America. And this is stuff that, you know, I've kind of been planning for a long time. I have family that's involved in nursing homes and assisted livings. They probably beat me if they still know that I'm going after Age Safe. We are members of Age Safe America, which is aging in place for seniors. You know, as people are locked out of these nursing homes right now from seeing their family, you know, we're working towards ways to make that transition and keep elderly people in their houses and go in and adapt their homes in general. So we're doing that. You know, it's just some different things we're going to have to adapt to and figure out where we're going to take this right now.
I know the flip that I have on the market, I actually strategically listed it about 90% done. So like we didn't have the stairs, the treads on the stairs finished and the blinds up and like just like maybe some punch list items. And we actually took pictures and listed it strategically because I just wanted to get on the market sooner rather than later, not knowing what would happen.
Yeah.
And that's the one that just had three offers on. But all of a sudden, then the shelter in place order got put on over the weekend. So I think we listed it on like a Saturday or something. And then like that Monday at 5 was when the shelter in place order got put in for the first time. And all of a sudden, my contractor was like, I don't know if we can finish it because all of his guys were saying, oh, I'm not going to come work. Or, you know, he had a fear that one of his guys got sick. So we were like, we had to tackle that because we almost couldn't list it or we were going to have to go and get it professionally cleaned if someone who was a potential, you know, potentially tested positive or whatever. And so those are things that we were seeing. And I called whenever my contractor said he wasn't, I think you were one of the ones that I called. I was like, oh man, we need someone to finish these stairs. We need someone to come in and finish out this project. And to be honest, all 5, we were like, I know you were one that were, hey, we can make it work. But like other one were like, yeah, I don't even know if I can like source jobs right now, because sometimes having a lot of like gig workers almost come in when you don't have like a consistent crew. Like sometimes that was a struggle. But well, thank you, Ryan, so much. I appreciate it. Look, you guys, I know we're getting ready to end up here the next 5 minutes. I just real quick wanted to finalize just some things. And look, guys, I do flips. I've got, you know, some rentals. I've got some complicated deals. I do wholesale deals. A little quick thing with my company is I am still actively marketing, but I'm being very strategic with the marketing that I'm doing. I've gotten very lean on my company as far as the bills we're paying. I'm not really looking to I printed out my bank statement and like my credit card statement for the company. And I was like, is this is kind of a profit first concept where I put a P next to everything that is directly tied to profit, meaning when I do this, money comes into the company. You know, I put an R next to everything that can be replaced. For example, if there was a company, there was something, like we did something where we had 3 websites, and then we had an additional website. What we did was we combined them all together and got a cheaper price. And just doing things like that where you could replace and get leaner on your expenses, because my monthly expenses is over $5,000 a month and for the business. And so it's like, that means the business needs to make more than $5,000 a month to be profitable, right? So you need to be mindful with that. Be mindful with what you're spending. Now is the time to do those things that are cost effective as far as marketing goes. Here, if you are wholesaling, do not overpromise to sellers, because I will tell you right now, the number one thing you should do is you should contact your buyers and find out what their buying criteria is. If you are a buyer on my buyers list, and if you are still buying, contact me. I want to know what your new criteria is. My criteria as a buyer has changed, but I am still buying. I have 6 projects on the board. I had to go check the number because we have some closings and whatnot. I have 6 projects on the board. Everything from wholesale to flips to we're buying rentals, selling rentals. We're buying creative deals, selling creative deals. So guys, deals are still happening. Here's the thing is, guys, if you are wholesaling, this is a time to be mindful of your expenses. Understand this is the perfect time to go and find what buyers are buying at, and be careful. I wouldn't contract stuff unless you knew you had specific buyers for it. Not just in general buyers, but like specific buyers for it. This may be a time you need to get longer contracts, but do not drag sellers along, and do not make, this is not a good time to be making promises. I do anticipate foreclosures ramping up in the future, just because the lack of jobs and income may result in people defaulting, and not a lot of people have a lot of money in their savings to be able to hold off. So I know that one of my very first deal this year was stopping a foreclosure. I've done nearly a dozen since, and I plan on doing a whole lot more. If you come across that and you don't know what to do, contact me. I'm happy to help. Look, I am still buying. So if you have a motivated seller, contact me. I can be a buyer between Slidell and Hammond is my primary market. But guys, look, this is a time to get to work on your education. I would not go learn everything, but learn some things very specifically. This is a good time to get your things in order, paperwork wise, in-house stuff, the back house stuff, get your taxes done, get your accounting up in place. And as far as seller appointments right now, I'm not doing a whole lot of seller appointments. To be honest, a lot of clientele I work with are older and things like that. So I'm not trying to go and expose people. I am doing a lot of virtual stuff, phone call appointments. If the house is vacant, then I am. And what I will do, guys, is know that the goal right now is to be safe, be smart, but look for opportunity. This is not a time to, pull one over on other people. So, but this is a time, there's a lot of people we can help right now. And honestly, I don't know if right now is the best time, but moving forward, there will be a lot more people to help, because honestly, what I'm seeing with sellers is not a lot of sellers have felt the pain yet, because it's kind of like a tsunami wave coming. And I don't want to be doom and gloom, but most people may have a little bit of money to get by, but if they don't have a job for 2, 3, 4 months of income, that's really when the pain's going to hit, not the first month not of being out of the job. So a lot of the sellers I'm dealing with right now are not as motivated. We were in a very seller's market, height of the market type thing. So it will take some time for people to feel that pain point. Look, I told you guys about the flip last week. That was a rural development loan that closed in less than 30 days. And that all went well. I have a flip in less than 10 days. I have a flip in Slidell that's on the market right now. In less than 10 days, I got 3 offers, and one of them's a cash offer. They were all near asking, at or near asking. And so guys, there's still buyers buying. Wholesale deal wise, I still have successfully wholesale deals in the past week and a half. And now I have had some buyers back out because they needed to reposition their money, or their money dried up, or whatever it may look like, or they were just not sure what was going on. I have had some deals where I had to extend the contracts or get creative because the sellers couldn't vacate the property. So they couldn't sell a property because they had nowhere to go and they were struggling. They had a shelter in place. So keep those things in mind, guys. Look, if you need anything, reach out to me. I'm going to put in the, my goal is, this has been recorded. My goal is to get to Facebook. I'm going to find out why it wouldn't let us go live and try to figure this out. We want to, but guys, the Southeast Louisiana Real Estate Investor Group is a great place for daily interaction. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all the panelists for you guys sharing. If this was really helpful for you guys, let us know. But guys, thank you so much. Please stay safe. Reach out if you need anything. And look, April 8th, I will have an economist, Brady Rains. He's phenomenal. I'm going to ask him to come and talk as an economic viewpoint to say, hey, is the market crashing? He's going to come and give an economic view on April 8th. And then April 9th, I'm going to be working with Sharon Rock and with Florida Lead Title. We're actually going to be doing a webinar for agents on how to deal with assignments of contracts and wholesalers, how to work alongside them. So if you're an agent, even if you're a wholesaler, this could be a good opportunity for you guys to learn. Look, if you found out about us from the Northshore REIA business Facebook page, just wherever you found out about this, stay in the loop, guys. We're going to be doing more. Thank you so much. And you guys have a great day. Stay safe.
Bye. Thanks.